Hey kids, today we're going to be further exploring CSS and adding some navigation buttons. Before we get too much into it though, I wanted to expand on an idea we talked about yesterday. And this is, there's really three ways we're going to use CSS. And if you remember, and thinking back to yesterday, CSS is cascading style sheets. This deals with the style around our web page. And this is just the ways we do it. External is what we did yesterday. That's that style.css sheet that we used. Internal and inline are very similar. Internal is just we can have one specific page doing one specific thing, so all the headers and fonts are that way. Inline is we just want this specific piece of code to do this. And really, that's the ways we can use CSS. Today, we're going to do an internal one. And I'm going to show you how an internal can also become an external. Are you interested how this works, kids? Well, let's go ahead and jump in and see what happens. We're going to come down to our links button here. And this is really what we're going to do, kids. We're going to make ourselves a button. And that is a lot of fun. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go over to a button here. Let's go to this link button here and try it ourselves. And you can see, well, it's kind of hard to see, kids, but when I hover over this, it gets a little more tomato-y and a little dull when I go off of it. And if you look over here, well, I have my style right there. So my style looks like it could go either inline or maybe I can use it on my external page. We'll try that in a second, kids. Underneath that, we have our link button, and our links are just the same way. Now, kids, before we get too crazy into this, I want you to go down to lists as well and take a look, because really, we have two types of lists. That is a unsorted list and a sorted inline list, and really those are very important for this. So we'll be really looking at that in the next one, but I just want you to understand that. So let's go back over to our try example. And really what I'm going to do here, kids, is I'm going to go in between the style here. In between the style. Well, let's grab the style and show this first. So I'm going to Control-C this. I'm going to go over to Replit. And you can see here is my page from yesterday. We have our events. You can see we have some links down there. And what we can do, kids, is we can actually turn any link we want to into a button. I'm going to come and do this in my head. That's just where I like to place weird things like that. So I'm just going to add this style in here. And this is just basically saying, hey, the background color is going to be this. The text is going to be white. We want it centered. No decoration yet. You want it in line. And then when it's active or hovering, it's going to be super red. So this looks like a little dollar red, and this looks like a red red. Let's run it, kids, and see what happens. Let's open up an external page here. As you can see here, kids, our links now are actual buttons. So we can click on it. Our other button still here is regular, but we can go back and all of our buttons here end up using it. So we can actually use both of these buttons here, kids. So this one just did it on one sheet. So this one is talking about a internal or inline style. Let's take this a step further though, kids. Let's go back to our Replit here. And instead of putting this style here, let's go ahead, copy this, delete it again. Let's go to our style sheet, which we're handling a lot of this stuff. We can paste this in. One important thing, kids, style never goes on the style sheet. So just be aware of that. Now let's hit run. Go back to our web page. And you can see, well, our links are still there. And we go to another page. Kids, look what happens. Well, all of my buttons are the same. That's pretty neat. Now, the neater part here, kids, let's say I'm thinking, I'm not digging red at all. Red's a silly color. Let's try some different colors. Well, I can go in here. Instead of red, let's do black. make sure you get rid of that hash brown there, kids. We'll do our text white. Let's do it ugly, kids. Let's go clickbaity. Let's do a green one. And then when we hover over it, let's do gray, just a plain gray color. When I hit my refresh here, look what happens to my buttons, kids. They all change. When I click here, you're going to notice this button changes as well. You can see how we used our different versions of this. We used style to put it in line for a specific page, and then we used our style sheet to create buttons globally over everything. Pretty neat if you ask me, kids. But that's only the first part, my friends. Let's add something a little prettier. Let's go back to W3 Schools. We're going to go down to navigation bars, and we're going to click on that. And we're going to get a couple different navigation bars here, kids. We're going to get a vertical and a horizontal. And I like the horizontal, so that's what I'm going to mess with. And if you look here, kids, this is what I was talking about. For this, we have to order our navigation or our links a little differently. They have to be in a list now, and we're going to pull from that list in order to create our navigation bar. So down here, this is just showing that. Let's go over to our try it ourselves. So this is just putting it in a list. Let's go to the neat part by going to horizontal. And let's see which one we like, kids. I like this one here, horizontal bar. In the mover, when the user goes over it, that's what I like it. Pretty neat, right? Well, this part here is going to be our style sheet, right? But that's only half of it, kids. Let's go to try it ourselves. You're going to see on top of that, we have to make our list. And whatever is in here, let's call this Mr. Rhodes. You can see we'll change over here to Mr. Rhodes. This is now my links. This is my style. And this one has to be done in line, kids. So I'm going to copy all of this style here, Control C. Let's go back over to my page. And I want to get rid of what I just did here. Well, let's keep our links down there. Let's go to our index here. And let's go in our body. We want to be in our body for this. And I'm just going to move that up here so that looks a little better. And it's in line. Now I want mine to be at the top here. I'm going to put one page breakdown because I don't like things crazy like that. And I am going to paste our style in here. So that's just my style. But that's only half of it, kids. We got to go back. And we have to go over and we have to copy and paste this last part here. These ULs. You can make it your own. These are just a list, kids. Nothing crazy, nothing hard. And we go back to our replet. And under here, where we want the list to be, that's what's going to happen. So I put that page break down up here. It really should have been down over here, kids. So I'm going to have 2 page breaks here. Let's clean this up a little so we can understand what's going on. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to paste these lists in. And I'm going to change what's happening. So I can do my index.html. News is going to become leaks.html. We make sure we have to rename that leaks. And then we're going to do V-Bucks, kids, because who doesn't want some V-Bucks? V-Bucks.html. And we just want to put this one free V-Bucks. And the about will just be about Fortnite. How about we just do that? We don't have a link for that yet, but don't worry about that. Let's go ahead and hit run. Let's see what happens. Well, there you go, kids. Look what happens up here. And we can change this too. You can see that my colors here, we are getting the same colors in my cascading style sheet. So really what we want to do, I believe it's this green one. Let's see what happens if we go to white here. Let's hit run. That takes care of that part. Color for links. Oh, here's our links down here, kids. So we actually want to go back up here. Let's change this color to something else gross again. That green right there. And then links that we're visiting, let's make sure those are just white. We'll just make it, well, let's make it a little off-white, kids. Ooh, like that. And you can see how that changes. Let's go over to our full web page here, take a look. We hit refresh on our page, and there you see we have our page break there. If we took our page break, we can move it. I can keep this going up or down, and I can paste this in where I want. Let me just go back and move this up. This looks like a little too much for me, kids. We're going to go to our index. Let's get rid of these two here. Let's see what that looks like. That looks a little better. And we're going to go back to our page. And kids, you can see if I go to leaks now, we'll go to our leak page. We go back. Everything is looking pretty good. And kids, that's how we add navigation bars. And our buttons are still there too. So if we don't want something in there, we still have those as well. Because kids, if you remember, let's go back to our Replit page. We still have our links down here. So if we didn't want those links still down here, all we would have to do is just delete that. Come back here, hit refresh. Now our links are gone. And everything is up here. Even our links button still down there. Looks like we have a period, kids. I should delete that. Make sure your spelling's correct, kids. You know me and my spelling. It's never good. So we're just going to go down to leaks here. And it just says leaks dot. We're just going to take that away. And hit refresh one more time. Everything looks a lot better. And look, kids, even though we're going super clickbaity, this page is actually starting to look pretty good. This is just one example. I want you to play around with some of the other ones and see what's going on. What I really want you to take out of this lesson is that kids CSS can be used to make stuff look better and transform the page not only on one, but across the entire thing. When we get to the next part, we're going to talk a little bit about JavaScript, which is adding another layer of some aesthetics. But for right now, we're just going to play around with this. And kids, that's how we add some CSS links to our web page. As always, if you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, kids, I'll see you on the next video. See you later, kids. Bye, bye, bye.